Malaysia's state of Sabah heads the polls this week in a race overshadowed by allegations of corruption. A senior aide to Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has resigned, amplifying questions about governance and the federal government's influence in state matters. CNA's senior correspondent Afifah Ariffin with this report.
A sea of party colours now blankets Sabah, setting the stage for Malaysia's most fragmented state election to date. Nearly 600 candidates are battling for just 73 seats, turning every constituency into a multi-corner fight with no clear frontrunner.
So this round of state election, wow, it's like everybody would dip their feet or fingers into the pond, right? And you have PH, you have BN, you have GRS, you have Warisan, and perhaps half a dozen or even a dozen or many other smaller parties. This round of election, you would see that many different parties would win some seats, and at the end of the day, it would require some form of a coalition government.
But behind the campaign colour is the spotlight on corruption. What began as an exposé of alleged bribery involving Sabah's GRS politicians over mineral mining deals has now reached the upper echelons of Putrajaya. Fresh allegations emerged this week accusing Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's senior political secretary, Shamsul Iskandar, of benefiting from some $140,000 spent by a businessman linked to the Sabah mining scandal. Mr. Shamsul resigned on Tuesday, citing attempts of personal attacks and vowing to defend himself. While the claims are unverified, Prime Minister Anwar accepted the resignation and stressed that his administration would not interfere with anti-graft investigations. The timing has also heightened scrutiny over political influence, resource licenses and governance in Sabah, issues which have already popped up in this election. Those frustrations sit alongside a much bigger question: how much autonomy Sabah should have. The long-standing 40% revenue entitlement money Sabah says it is owed under the Malaysia Agreement 1963 has become the emotional centre of this election. Putrajaya's recent move to not appeal part of the landmark court ruling has fuelled both hope and scepticism among Sabahans.
People are saying that's the government throwing a bone to Sabahans, right? By doing so, they're allowing local parties in Sabah to question the sincerity of the government in fulfilling what they call as the rights of Sabah itself. And this has led to the rise in calls of Sabah for Sabahans, Sabah first.
Political observers agree that the results in Sabah will not destabilize Prime Minister Anwar's Madani government, but it will affect his negotiation power for the next general election.
It would affect how much room does the federal government have when it comes to negotiating with Sabah, and from that it would also mean how much room the federal government has to negotiate with other states as well. But Anwar's calculation and the maneuvering that he's able to do would definitely be affected by what comes out of Sabah.
With more state elections on the horizon before Malaysia's next general election is due, Sabah is emerging as a first major test of political confidence, and how the state votes will define just how much space the Madani government will have to shape the national agenda ahead of GE16. Afifah Ariffin, CNA, Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia.